What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, I want to go ahead and talk about the importance of your entries when trading options. If you guys have been trading, I'm sure you have had many times where you have entered a position, maybe you didn't get the best entry, and you end up getting stopped out on potentially a trade that is still a very good setup. You go ahead and watch the trade do exactly as you thought, but because of your entry, you were risking a little bit too much. You stopped out because you didn't like the setup and you weren't getting in at the correct time. And in today's video, I want to give you a live trading example of what I did on Tesla yesterday and the strategy that I use on an intraday basis to get the best possible trade entries. Now, of course, I will miss these entries once in a while, but if I see this setup occur, I usually almost always go ahead and put on some risk. I want to go ahead and share with you guys that strategy that I use and how I get the best entries, giving myself a defined risk, giving myself a proper stop loss, giving myself the wiggle room that I need to go ahead and let a trade work. So today we're going to talk a lot about entries. I have a live video from my trade yesterday, so we'll have some real trade examples in today's video, giving you guys the proper education with things that actually go on in the market. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you guys want to prepare for your trading day every single morning with me, go ahead and check out the pre-market live streams starting every single day at 8 a.m. We go over technicals, economic data, economic news, earnings calendars, you name it. We go over it in the morning to prepare yourself for the trading day. So I'm sure you guys have heard countless times how important an entry is when getting into a position. I'm sure you guys have seen where you've got into a position, maybe you went ahead and chased the entry. Your idea, your technicals, your mindset on the trade was all absolutely correct, but because you got a bad entry, because you chased that entry just a little bit, you either stop out of the position or you get yourself into a pretty hairy situation where you're sitting in some ugly drawdown. Now, no one likes to go ahead and sit in drawdown because of a chased entry. This is one of the most important things that I try to stay away from on an intraday basis is chasing entries. I like to stay relaxed. I like to look at levels. I like to find where is my entry. Where does the stock need to get to for me to feel comfortable? Where is the entry that I like? Where does it give me the structure? Where does it give me the proper risk to reward? And waiting for that entry sometimes is very excruciating. Sometimes you don't want to wait. And that is the emotion that comes into trading. And that is one of the major reasons why people lose in trading, even though they are looking at the right things, even though their ideas are correct and their technicals are correct. That chased entry, that entry that you just couldn't be patient on, that gets you into a very hairy situation, which puts you in drawdown, could be the reason why a trade is either a winner or a pretty ugly loser. So what we're gonna go ahead and do to learn about how to improve those entries in this video, I'm about to run a raw clip from the Discord voice chat, exactly what I'm saying to the chat as I'm looking for a trade. You're gonna see on Tesla that it is starting to extend to the downside. It's starting to get pretty overextended, and I'm not comfortable chasing that entry. You're gonna hear me talk about how I've done this before, and I know this is not the proper way to go ahead and take this trade. I'm waiting for a pushback to the upside. I'm waiting for a key level to reject and the 9 EMA to reject as well. Waiting for that 9 EMA to reject, waiting for the stock to give a little bit of a bounce back into the 9, back into a key level rejection was what made this trade. If I would have chased, I would have been sitting in some ugly drawdown, and maybe I would have stopped out of that trade, which ended up being a fantastic trade. I could have potentially missed this great trade if I wasn't patient and I didn't wait for my entry that I was comfortable in. So let's go ahead and run that clip, and then we will recap what I'm talking about and do some technicals to share with you guys how to improve your entries. I would like to see Tesla either reject 720 or reject the 9 EMA. Oh, it just rejected 720 pretty nice there. I can't get myself to chase, guys. I'm sorry. If you guys want to take 720, maybe this is a rejection point here off 720, but it's just too far from the 9 for me to take it. I know I'll regret that. I know I'll regret that. I've done this in the past on Tesla where I'll try to play a rejection point and it's already so deviated and I just lose on it. So I'd like to see maybe the 9 EMA catch up to that 720 level. If I can see the 9 EMA catch up to 720, then I'll be more confident. Because then we have two rejections. 9 EMA and key level. All right, I'm grabbing Tesla. Stop over 720. 9 EMA rejection. I'll take it. All right, guys. So now that you saw that clip and you heard a little bit about what I was talking about, what I was waiting for in that entry, now let's go ahead and jump onto the charts and really run over exactly what I was looking for there. Do a little bit of a post-mortem analysis on that trade and talk about the entry that I was looking for. If you want to see the remainder of that trade, I caught it all live on my Instagram. So make sure to go ahead and check that out to see how that trade ended up. We're not going to focus so much on that trade. We're going to focus on the entry and the importance of it. So if we go ahead and look at the charts here, guys, you can see that this is Tesla on the 1 minute chart. This is from yesterday. And one of the major levels that I was watching on Tesla coming into that day was 720. 720 was the pre-market low, and that was right here. Now, I was waiting to see, is Tesla going to go ahead and break that pre-market low? Me as a trader, I will never catch the first move. So what you guys see in the morning is we got a pretty much straight move to the downside. These are the 1 minute candles. We didn't get a single green candle on the 1 minute chart. Now, of course, there are some entries here off the 9 EMA, but when I see something moving straight out of the gates, I automatically shut down. I do not take it. And I think that is a good best practice for some of you guys out there, which maybe are chasing trades. Maybe you're starting to get yourself a little worked up in the morning, getting very anxious, very emotional. I do not trade the first move in the morning. A lot of people make a lot of money doing it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do, but if you find yourself emotional in the morning, don't even look at the first moves. Wait for the first pullback, wait for the first bounce, wait for something to set up, and that is what I do. So in the morning, you guys can see straight downside. Very big move to the downside on Tesla, moving right back down into the pre-market low. And we got the breakthrough pre-market low. I do not trade that breakdown. What do I look for to get my entry? What do I look for to get a structured trade with an easy stop loss, right? Because where is my exit? Where is my stop loss if I was to chase this downside move? Where am I getting out of this trade as it starts to deviate from the 9 EMA? It's very difficult to have a clear stop loss, a structured stop loss if you guys are chasing the downside. So if we zoom in here and get a little bit closer, what you guys are going to realize is this blue line is the 9 EMA. And when the stock starts to deviate from it, you guys can see the gap starting to get larger from the 9 EMA. Right here, the gaps are getting larger and larger from the 9 EMA. That means the stock is starting to deviate from its 9-period exponential moving average. And when a stock starts to deviate from that 9-period exponential moving average, it is more than likely to try to come back into it. It's going to try to revert to, let's say, the mean. I'm sure you guys have heard that many times, reverting to the mean. Let's say, for example, the 9 EMA is the mean in this situation. It's going to want to revert to the mean. So when you're looking at a stock and you see it's very extended over the 9 EMA, wait a second. Wait for it to revert back to that mean. Wait for it to come back and give you a better entry. When I see it being this extended past the 9, I will never take an entry because I know it is reverting or it is deviating from the mean, and I know there is a high chance of it reverting. So if I get into a trade here, let's say I chase this trade under the 720 break, and let's say Tesla bounced back into 720, I'm sitting in some drawdown here. I'm sitting in, if I took a decent size contract and decent size position, I could be sitting in anywhere from $500 to $1,000 drawdown. That is not fun. I do not want to put myself in that situation. So what am I waiting for? In this particular trade, as you guys heard from that last clip, I am waiting for us to come back into 720 and show me that that previous pre-market resist or support is going to turn into resistance. Because I know if a pre-market low that was previous support turns into resistance, then I know that I have that level. I have that level to trade off of. So you guys can see Tesla broke 720. It came back into 720. It started to retest that 720 level. Previous support into resistance. This is the break and retest. So you can see that we were starting to get the break and retest. However, what you see in that clip that I just ran, I didn't take a trade right off this 720 retest. It would have worked in hindsight, but what was I waiting for? I was waiting for the 9 EMA to catch up to this position. I was waiting for this stock to revert back to the 9 EMA, giving me two confluences, giving me two rejection points to give myself some confirmation in the downside. Now, you can see in that trade, I don't know if you saw my entry point, so make sure to go ahead and run it on Instagram if you want to see my exact entry point. All right, I'm grabbing Tesla. Stop over 720. 9 EMA rejection. I'll take it. This is where the stock started to revert back to the 9 EMA, start to go ahead and reject the 9 EMA and the previous 720 level. Now, why is this entry so key? Why is this entry a great entry? And here's a few reasons as to why. First reason is the technicals. You have the break and retest and you have the 9 EMA. That's the strategy part of it, right? That is where I like the stock to reject. Right here, you have a confluence of both the 9 EMA rejection and you have a previous retest level that is starting to reject. Second, what else does this entry provide me? It provides me a simple and easy place to stop out of this position. If Tesla was to break above 720, break above the 9 EMA, let's say it bounced past this, made a new little new pivot high here, bounced into, let's say, 721, then I know I should not be in this trade. The stock is not respecting my strategy. It has broken the 9. It has broken above 720. It is no longer turning that into resistance. And that is a trigger in your mind to get out of that trade. It gives you that psychological kick to say, okay, this is clearly no longer a good trade. I need to be out of this. It's a little bit more difficult to have that psychological kick to get out of a trade if you went ahead and chased it here. Let's say you chased it down here. Let's say you bought it at 716. Let's say that's where you took your puts. If this stock bounced, you may say, okay, hold on. Maybe there's still an opportunity here. We're still trading below 720. Maybe we still bounce, or maybe we still reject. You're not quite sure. You don't have that level in your mind. You don't know exactly where you're getting out. But if you get as close to an entry as that rejection point with the 9 EMA to reject as well, you have that psychological trigger to get out of that position if it doesn't work for you. So what you guys can see, we went ahead, we rejected that 9, we rejected that retest, and we just went ahead and continued lower. I'm not too focused on the trade itself in this position or in this video. I'm focused on the entry and the importance of not chasing that entry and waiting for that entry to come to you. In this case, the retest and the 9 EMA rejection. So I showed you the good and I showed you where that actually worked out, but I also have to show you where sometimes it doesn't work. And today was a great example of where this did not work and where I had to take my stop. So today I had a red day. I'll go ahead and post my P&L today on the screen for you guys to see. Yesterday, very nice green day off that Tesla trade. Today I had a red day. And the reason for that is I had to stop out of a setup that looked very similar to what we're talking about here. But what you guys will notice is my loss is extremely small. I'm stopping out of these trades as soon as they don't look good, and I'm getting out as soon as the setup no longer is valid, and it keeps my losses small. So what you guys can see, this is today, and we had a low of pre-market right around this 696 level, and I was looking for the same setup. We had a drop through 696, we had a retest into pre-market lows, and we also had the 9 EMA right here starting to reject. So I went ahead and entered a position here looking for the same exact thing, looking for the break and retest, the 9 EMA rejection, and for Tesla to slide back to the downside. But what you guys can see is that Tesla held up. It started to pop over my key level, my key stop loss around 697 and the 9 EMA, and I had to get out for my stop. I had to take a loss on this trade. Now, if I chased it here, guys, right? If you got a put here and you chase this thing right out of the gates, where do you get out of this position? How do you know where to get out? Do you just get out because you're down? Do you just get out because you're losing money? That's not going to take you very far. You cannot chase these entries. I'm not that upset about the trade that I took today because it was still structured, right? I didn't chase the downside. I waited for the bounce back into the 9, back into my previous retest level. I got in here and I looked to see if we could get that fail back to the downside. What you'll see is that we didn't. We pushed back higher and I had to stop out of that trade. So you saw the good and you'll also see the bad, but you're always going to encounter the bad. That is something you will always encounter in trading. But where are you going to stop out? How are you going to protect your portfolio when something doesn't work for you? Are you going to know where you need to stop and protect your loss? This is a scenario where I had to take a loss today because the setup just wasn't there. We had the setup occur, but it did not work in my favor, and I knew where I couldn't see the stock above. As soon as I saw it break the 9, I'm out of that trade. It no longer aligns with the strategy that I look for on a daily basis. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight as to what I look for in the market. What do I look for my entries? For me personally, I look for 9 EMAs and break and retest. If the stock's moving to the upside, I look for 9 EMA pullbacks, and I look for previous support to turn into resistance. If we're trading to the downside, I do not chase my entries. If we're slipping straight down, I wait for that bounce. I wait for it to come back into the 9. I wait for it to turn a previous support into resistance, and I let those entries come to me. I had the live trade in this video. I had some technicals for you. If that helps, let me know. If you have any further questions, make sure to let me know as well. If you want to trade live with me every single day, link in the description for the Discord chat where I talk about these setups and this strategy on a daily basis. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.